have some time for another round. If any senator wishes to stay for another round, I'd like to ask a few questions. First, since it's been mentioned in this hearing that some of us actually support carbon pricing legislation, I'll take it just as a point of personal privilege that I'm one of those. In fact, I'm the author of a carbon pricing bill, and essentially nothing of what Dr. Lewis said about carbon pricing is true as regards my bill. So you don't have to follow whatever his path is if you're actually looking at my legislation. And I want to make sure that's clear in the record of this hearing. Dr. Lewis, I also want to make clear your doctorate is in government, right? Not in science?
Correct.
Are you familiar with scientific research related to climate tipping points?
Yes.
Do you understand that, particularly as regards sea level rise, reaching certain climate tipping points can dramatically increase the risk and the rate of sea level rise?
Yes, I'm familiar with that.
And that is, I don't see that reflected anywhere in your testimony. Your testimony makes no reference to hitting tipping points. Is that correct?
No, it does not.
Okay.
If you recall the Fifth Assessment Report, I was going to explain why I didn't think it was particularly pertinent.
If you keep it brief, go ahead, but you're
yes.
into my time and I have limited time, so go
All
ahead.
right, in the Fifth Assessment Report, the IPCC said it was exceedingly likely that we would see any kind of ice sheet crack up in the 21st century. So we were dealing with issues in the next couple of decades, I thought, and I didn't see that it was entirely relevant. I did talk about tail risk at some point.
I'm going to reclaim my time here so I can talk to Ms. Michaud, who's my Rhode Island friend here. Warren, if you could just speak a little bit into a little bit more detail, because I know a lot of people are listening to this who live in coastal towns and have the experience that you're dealing with. You're dealing with very specific and practical things. You're dealing with Warren's waterfront economy, which for anybody in Rhode Island is a really wonderful waterfront economy with terrific restaurants and access points. You're dealing with flooded roads and infrastructure. You're dealing with emergency evacuation issues in other towns where the road that would get you out of Warren in emergency are themselves likely to be compromised by that emergency. And your biggest thing has probably been the water treatment plant, which, because of gravity, in a lot of places along the coast, is located down low right at the coast. Give us a picture of how that all fits together for you, and those will be our closing words.
Sure. So thank you for the question. We are dealing with a lot of those issues, especially the wastewater management system is a grave concern. As you mentioned, due to gravity, it is located on the coast in the lowest point of the town, which is the case in many towns or most towns. And the situation that we're encountering is that we've just done this major upgrade, which has been very costly, but it is only resilient to 3 feet of sea level rise. And unfortunately, when we look at the projections long term, looking at 2100 or even beyond then, once we get past that 3 feet of sea level rise, there really is no saving the facility. You can't build an island in the middle of the ocean. So we are looking at some major changes in the future to what our community looks like. Not only moving that facility, but also potentially buying out properties and moving the people away from harm, which is going to be a significant change for the town. I think the great thing about living in a town like Warren is the sense of community, and I would say that there's definitely a difference between surviving and living, and people want to live. And they want to live in a community where they can enjoy their neighborhood, they can enjoy their neighborhood businesses and their schools and their houses of worship. And climate change is really a threat to that. It's a threat to the sense of community that has existed in Warren for centuries. And we really want to see if there's anything that we can do to preserve that sense of community going forward while preparing for the eventuality of climate change.
Well, those are about as good a conclusion as I could hope for, so I'll end the hearing there. I want to thank the witnesses for appearing. The full written statements of the witnesses will be included in the record. For the senators who wish to file questions for the record, they're due by noon tomorrow, with signed hard copies delivered to the committee clerk in Dirksen 624. Email copies will also be accepted, and we ask the witnesses to respond to any questions for the record within 7 days of receipt. Without further business before the committee, the hearing stands adjourned. Thank you.